so there is now a navy and a white half block for the red, white, and blue. Of course, when I trim this one, more white will come off than there will be the navy to make it look more even. I kind of sewed really far in on that. I didn't need to, but we can adjust it by trimming the white instead of the red. Alrighty. And then this one is already done. It's a windmill. I mean a hourglass. And then here is the bottom. Okay, so column 6 is now, of this quilt, is now, okay, see the size difference? Right, once you start sewing on them, the seam allowances make them shrink. So the solid blocks end up bigger. Well, if I don't stop and retrim everybody so that they're all at the same pool party, then I get a wonky quilt. So I go through making all of my columns into solid blocks is the step I'm on. I've learned to do everything in a procedure. That's how my brain thinks or works or whatever. All right, so there is the top of the column 6, the very far right hand side. There are 6 columns to this quilt. So I'm just gonna sandwich them, they're in order, and then I'm gonna put them in this bag, and then I'm gonna move to column 5. So I've already done column 1 on the left and column 6 on the right. Did I do that intentionally? No, I didn't care what order because they're bagged and I've got to do them all. So, but until I'm hoping Sunday, maybe after church on Sunday, we could go out to lunch maybe, and I can run by the dollar store and get me the baskets that I'm needing for this particular thing. Like, I'll reuse these bags for another quilt, as long as the quilt blocks are not bigger than this. I need a lot more Ziplocs, but I can reuse the Ziplocs. So I'm labeling them in a way that I'm not saying what quilt it is, so that I can use column 6, column 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, that bag over, so that, you know, because these are not renewable resources, so I don't want to that stuff to end up in the landfill. Okay, so this is now column 5, okay? So I'm gonna be working on column 5 on this particular one. All right, column 5 at the very top is an hourglass. But right when we first start, column 5, I think I have 3 or 4 of them that I have to put into a block. Now, this particular block is white on white. It makes a white square. And so I'm gonna measure those up right there and come down and make that a square. Let me check the back side here so that we make sure we've got, yeah, okay. Alrighty. Alright, so see, this one turned into a square white block. So there's that. And then there is a white and red. We're gonna turn this into a white and red half block, or yeah, half block, to be the next half block in that column of this quilt. Now, the cool thing is when you learn to like layer these things, when you pull them off your quilt board. Now, if you don't have a quilt board, you can lay these out on your table or your bed or the floor, and good for you if you can, at your age and physical ability, get on and off the floor, because I sure cannot. So I have to rely on my quilt board, and I'll only be sewing for an hour today, which is I mean, that's the average. That's what I sew on the average a day, is an hour. An hour is enough to make me feel like I'm living some sort of a life, even with my challenges. And my physical challenges. And it helps. Now see, my arms from my elbow up are getting really tight, and it's causing my hands to get really tight when that happens. And around my elbows will feel like somebody hits me with a baseball bat. I don't know why, but it does once I start doing this. Okay, so the next block in row 5 is a red and white half block. The next one will be a blue and white half block. And then the last one I've got to put together will be another white on white. Okay, so see, it goes really quick if you put everything in order. I design it up on my wall, on my quilt wall, and this red, white, and blue has been up there for over a month before I've even gotten a chance to touch it again, because when you only sew for about an hour a day, you know, your stuff doesn't move as quickly as other people's. But it's very good for therapy, physical, emotional, and more. And it gives you some time of concentration, and it helps block out the noise of life. You know, the ridiculousness that they call the news these days. And I don't watch that mess. My husband informs me, or I kind of take a quick little look, and I don't need it because I already know what God says in His Word. So I'm just going to carry on with my life that God has given me, and stay about His business. And that's going to be for the rest of my life, however long or short that is. Okay, so here is the next half block. Of course, these will all get ironed before I do a trimming. And I will trim, I'll go from bag to trim, and I will use my these will probably become 5.5 blocks, which will reduce the size or the scale by a little bit. However, that's okay, because I still have to put a border on, which will give me back that. So like, I'll take my 5.5 and I will lay it on every single one of them. And remember that this was it's smaller than the actual solid square navy. So all of them are gonna get a good trimming, but they'll all be exactly 5.5-inch blocks by the time I trim them all. So then that means everything's gonna line up for me. When I first started back in November and December, I didn't have tools like this. So I was just sewing things together just to, for the therapeutic purposes and while I was learning. And as I learn, I'm able to do better. So there's that. Oh wait, that's the final block, hang on. Okay, so we do this one. This is the last half block of this. That's kind of a shorty, isn't it? It doesn't matter, it's gonna be trimmed to a 5.5, so I gotta remember that. Because you're always gonna do some trimming, so you don't have to freak out if everything's not exact, because everything of mine is not exact until I trim it. Yeah. And my machine has been running like a dream lately, which is wonderful. All right. Straighten up my stitch a little bit. I gotta straighten up the bottom one more time. Yeah, right there. All right, so there is the last block that needed to be sewn for row 5. So now they are all in squares, and then here's the very bottom. Now the hourglass, there's an hourglass at the top in red and white, and there's an hourglass in blue and white on the bottom for column 5. And well, I know that that thing is open because I just pulled this stuff out of it. Sometimes these little zipper bags are hateful. Maybe I closed it. Yeah, I guess I did. Oh well. All right, so we're just gonna stick them back in there. Doesn't have to be perfect because they're gonna be ironed, but they are still ordered. I know that these all belong to column 5. Okay. I'm going to open up my blinds because I can. And I have a sassy haircut now, and I don't mind for people to see my hair. Because before I had crazy cat lady long hair that needed to be cut. Yeah, we'll do that. Take this dress off. I need to get me some hooks to be able to hang up the dresses I make. But so it's probably like 5 something. It's an early morning. See outside, the sun has begun to peek out, and the light is coming out. So I'm sewing by my sewing lights, but I'm not running a business, but I'm sure people walking past think I am. I'm just sewing, and I'm gonna look for some sewing classes for my daughter and I so that we can increase our skill while we're going to college. She and I both are in college, at the community college. I'm going back to finish out what I haven't been able to finish out yet because of life, and kept coming up, and I kept having to stop to help other people go ahead of me, or support my husband in his studies. And so now it's my turn. But my daughter comes first. My daughter comes first than me. So she's well on her way. Yes, the very top on this row, there are 2 blue and white blocks, and the white makes a triangle. Yes. So there's block 1 that needed to be done. Hang on, that doesn't make sense. Why? Oh, no, that's not what's happening. This is the extension of this one right here. That's what's happening. Okay, I was like, something ain't right. Okay, so there's that. It doesn't matter. All of these pieces go on that quilt, so somebody's got their backpack on. They must be going down to the college to, we're just right down the road from, well, more than one college, but, here's the next one, although I am really confused. I really think, or is it this? Yes. Yes. And then the other 2, yeah, because then what happens is then this, I don't know. I'm just gonna do these in order, because I took them off the board in order, and I'm not going to try to reinvent the wheel right now. Okay, so there's those. This one's already done. It's a red, white, and blue. This one is already done. It is a red, white, and blue. Okay, I was right the first time. There was 2 blues and then 2 white triangles. Yes, because at the bottom there are 2 red triangles and 2 white triangles that will touch. Yes, okay. I thought I wasn't going crazy, but there for a minute I was like, I'm not really sure what's happening here. Now, of course I've already sewn this once, so I'm gonna have to finagle it a little bit because it's kind of like needs to be ironed. But if I get my foot down on it, I should be okay. It'll hold it while I hold this. Yeah. It looks like I've seen grit before on this. Because I was probably going to use it somewhere else. And then I seam ripped it off something else to use it for this project. Which totally is okay because that means I saved fabric. repurposing is a very good idea. Alrighty. So, oh God, gosh, that slid something big down at the bottom. So I'm gonna take out those last few threads there and straighten that up, because it's like, that can't stay like that. All right, yes, now straighten her up and do it again. Alrighty, and then that's the last one. So we have column 4 is now ready for the back. And so I only have 2 more columns, and this went so quickly because I prepped it. So that's what I'm learning is you know, you may want to like just dive in and just sew and kind of flap out of the seat of your pants, and that's okay too. I mean, you may be seam ripping a lot, you may be making adjustments and trimming, but anyway, but by doing a little prep work, you're able to work on a bunch of different projects if you so need to, which I do. I like to change what I'm doing. Well, I have to, physically. I can't do the same thing for very long. I've only got an hour. So far it's been 23 minutes, but my arms from here to here are in a lot of nerve pain, and like it from my elbow to right here is tightening so tight. Oh, did you hear that? Yep. It tightens so tight that it draws my arm up. But anyway, all right, so now we're on column 3, and then I've already done column 1, so all I got to do is column 3 and column 2. Column 3, if I'm not mistaken, yes, it's the last column that has 4 that need to be put together, I think. I think column 1 and 5 had the least amount, because I already had the hourglasses done from another project that they were extra. So I had an opportunity to throw them on this project, which added some visual interest, to be quite honest, to me anyway. It kind of broke up the other pattern that was up there. It added visual interest to me, and so I'm really excited about that. And Alrighty, so there's the first block, and then here is the second block. This is the same way as the other column that had like the two reds and then the two whites touching in the middle. This is the same. This column is the same way. So I want to kind of get this one done by July, which is 100% possible, because we hope to be traveling west in July, so I need to get it done so that I don't have too many open projects to come back to. I want to start all fresh projects when I get back. But I am going fabric shopping while I'm there. Because where I'm going is known for fabric galore. So we're going to take that opportunity to shop for a bunch of quilting fabric while we're gone. So we're going to do worship ministry while we're gone. We're going to pick up a lot of fabric for this part of the compassion part of the ministry. And okay, now you will see we definitely have trimming to do, because this white is obsessively larger than the red. But that is, oh, I know why, because I had to piece together the red. So this one is going to be, yes, it can still be trimmed. It'll end up being okay. So I will go to the edge of the red because it's smaller and cut off more of the white so it's more proportionate. Okay, so there's that. The next block is a red, white, and blue. It's already done. This block is a red, white, and blue. It's already done. And then we just have this block. We have a blue and a white and a blue and a white. And then column 3 is taken care of. So let's get this. So I'm gonna, I'm at 28 minutes, so I'm gonna get this done within the hour, which is fabulous. So that's what I've been, as someone who is physically weak, number one, in my weakness, God is made strong. But when you have physical weakness, it is imperative that you stage and prep your projects. And here's one of the reasons why, is because you can literally say, okay, it's all prep. All I've got to do is seams. I only have to sew straight lines. Okay, so I was able to get all of these. Okay, I had one bag done. I had row 1 already done. But I was able to go ahead and, I don't know why that travels. I do have a new foot. It's a seam allowance foot, so that it'll keep my seam allowances consistent. And I need some air to keep blowing that fabric dust off. But anyway, so see, I didn't have to like think about what piece went with what. I didn't. Everything was already ironed. You know, these were pretty flat, so I didn't have to worry about getting up and ironing. So if you do some prep work, and then say, okay, for this hour, I'm gonna grab these 6 bags, these 6 columns that are already bagged up, they're already counted out, they're already in order, and all I've got to do is just do the seams. So I need to accomplish this task in an hour, and that is really what is helping me, because I know I only have 30 minutes to an hour, right? I am hitting the hour more consistently. Sometimes I can get up to 2 hours, but I do have to get up. So that's another reason why I work on more than one thing at a time, because maybe I can't sit here for the whole 2 hours. Maybe I can sew for an hour, but maybe I can get up and stand to go to my next cutting project, or a trimming project, or a designing project where I am standing, but with the designing, I'm kind of moving, so I'm not standing in one place, which is a no-no for me. If I stand still for too long, my blood pressure will drop. So moving is a very, very positive thing if I'm standing, because it helps circulate my blood. Alrighty. Alright, there's that. There's that. Yes. Okay. So this column is now complete. See, this is exciting to me because it's coming together now, you know. But again, going back to the bag is prepping it for the next stage, which is trimming. Once ironed and trimming. So once each bag is ironed and trimmed, I'll start at 1, go all the way to 6. And I'm using my 5.5. I wrote 5.5 on some of these bags. No, I didn't. And the reason why I didn't is because I'm going to reuse these bags. But anyway, okay, so after I iron them and trim them, well, guess what's next? Well, then I take column 1 and 2 out of the bag, sit it next to each other, and I start chaining them together. And then once they're all chained together, then I start going from left to right. I'm going to start up to down. Actually, starting up top to bottom, I'm ending up with better lining up. It's coming easier. So column 3, I'm down to column 2 because column 1's already done. So really, see, column 1's already done. So I'm going to set that there. All right, so the top one's already done. And actually, I think I only have 3 to do for this one. And then all of my columns are pieced together. How exciting. All right, I'm at 35 minutes. All right, so this was a prep that was worth the time to pull down in order and by row. So in this one, the very top one is a white and blue, navy blue gingham hourglass, and then a double white, because it makes a white square. And then, okay, so this one causes me a little bit of concern, except for now that I know, see the white, my cutter kind of cut, but I don't have to worry about that because I now know for sure I'm going to be trimming anyway. So I'm just going to kind of move that off because I'm only going to have 5 by 5 squares. The hourglasses is what's making me do a 5.5 instead of 6 inches. Okay, the blue squares that are one solid, they're 6.5. So I could have ended with just 6-inch blocks all over the quilt, except for my hourglasses are smaller. So to meet them where they are, they're going to become 5.5-inch blocks. Now that makes the focal point of the quilt, which is this big star in the middle, it'll make it slightly smaller, but that's okay because it still makes a huge statement in the red, white, and blue. And I'm really excited to take it and deliver it to people that we love and loved and still love. I mean, we may see if they'll come up to Greensboro to meet us, but for dinner or something, and then present it to him. They know it. They're getting this. The husband and wife know that this is being worked on their behalves. Okay, so I'm literally down to a red and white, a double white, and then the hourglass that goes on the very top is already done. So it's literally just 2 more to go, and I'm done with the piecing. Isn't that sensational? It is to me, because 3 years ago this was not even this would have never, I would have laughed at you and said, huh, because I couldn't even ambulate 3 years ago. So something attacked my body in a major way. We'll say it like that. And it literally crashed my entire nervous system. And I'm still very weak, but not, I get more life than I did 3 years ago, which it's still pretty limited, but you know, all I can do is keep praying and keep trusting God as, you know, I get stronger each day. And yeah. All right, here's the next red and white, then the double white. And ladies and gentlemen, that was the last block that I had to piece together today. All right, so this is column 2. So there's the white block. And then here is the bottom, the very bottom block. I'm trying to figure out, do I need to stitch over that? Let me go ahead and, I'm not real confident in the stitch here. It's almost like it's literally stitched on the very edge, which that's not so much a problem, but let's move that over just a little bit and give it another real good stitching to make sure it doesn't come apart, you know, because that would suck. All right, now let's make sure I can still get a 5.5. Oh yeah, see, I was seeing threads coming through that. Let's make sure I can. This one's gonna be really close. There's not gonna be much trimming here, but there is still just enough trimming. Oh, there's some up there. Let's go. Yeah, there's just enough trimming to make sure it's the same size. If it was any smaller, I would have to swap it out. But I do not have to swap it out. It is like almost exactly what I need. Okay, so that's the very, this is column 2. Alrighty, so this is the whole quilt. It is a 60 by 60 quilt. The 5.5 times 5.5 times 6 is 33 inches wide. So it's almost like a 34 by 34 centerpiece. But then I'm gonna border 2 or 3 borders out, whatever is needed to make it into the 60 by 60. Yeah, so I will have to get 108 for the backing, because I really would like this to be a one-piece backing, because to me this is like a showstopper with its beautiful red, white, and blue. Not because of me, but just because red, white, and blue is always a showstopper. I wanted it to make a statement because his dad served in the military, and as a thank you for his service, you know, whatever he contributed to our armed forces, you know, thank you. So, and I thought that that was a, you know, a good way to memorializing in a quilt. And so maybe when this friend misses his dad, you know, he can go over and grab his quilt and snuggle underneath it and think of all the good memories. You know, there's always hard memories, but cling to the good. I don't know if they have hard memories. I don't think so, but I'm just saying. Definitely losing him is a hard memory. Okay, so look, there is the entire red, white, and blue quilt in 6 bags. So row 1, column 1, column 2, column 3, column 4, column 5, and column 6. And I am at, see, we don't need any sashing on this one. I am at 45 minutes and 39 seconds. And I got that entire, that's actually a huge task, but because it was prepped and already bagged, I could work at 1 bag at a time. So that if, let's say I got tired at bag 3, then my bag 4, 5, and 6 were already prepped. I would just come back after I had rested. So my encouragement to people like me who have to break things up, if you'll just prep it like this, then you can just work on the things that you can work on that day, that time, in that moment. And don't let it steal your, don't let the fact that you have to overcome some simple things in life in order to accomplish things that don't take anybody else a second thought to just be able to whip out. You know, there's some planning and prep work whenever you have something that you live with and around or try to live through and overcome, right? So there we go. All right, so column 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6 of the red, white, and blue is now completed. So the next thing is it goes to ironing, and I'll work one bag at a time. So I'll take column 1, I'll go to the ironing board, which I sit on my recliner to iron, and I will iron that whole column, keep it all in order. I have to get me, it's a rotating cutting mat, so I don't have to do things so manually. I'm gonna get one of those. I'll just get a 12 by 12 for right now because I'm just cutting small pieces, but I would love the 18 by 18. Anyway, but that way I can hold the 5 by 5, 5.5 by 5.5 down, and then trim. And as that thing spins, you know, I can just turn, trim, turn, trim, turn, trim, and that one's done. And then I move to the next one, and then put it back in the bag. And then I'll take column 2 out, go to the ironing board, bring it back to where I'm gonna be trimming, you know, trim, turn, trim, turn, trim, turn, move it over, go to the next one, get through column 2, and then column 3, then column 4, 5, 6, and I'll probably have to break that up because there's standing involved, right? So, having said that, I just want to reiterate that prepping and sorting and things will really help. Number 1, you feel like you're accomplishing things in life. 2, it gives you nice therapy. 3, it helps you make a gift for a friend. And 4, when it gives you a sense of accomplishment, that is, and a purpose, that is so important for people who have some kind of a disability, whether it is short term or long term, you know, whether it's an illness, an injury, or a disease or whatever. It is very important for everybody to feel purpose and feel like you're able to contribute something to make somebody else's life better, even for a moment. There is something to be said about that. And so that's what this is giving me. Jesus gives me my hope, but this sure doesn't not help. It's been very good for me, and I'm very grateful to Teresa York, who is my quilting mentor. And I've never even personally met her. I know of her, but she is my quilting mentor, and I just am so thankful for her. I pray that the Lord blesses her for what she did for me. And I hope to send her a gift card really soon, so that she can go buy some extra fabric for herself, because she too makes quilts as gifts. She makes them for chemo patients. She's a nurse, and I think that is just she's a nurse practitioner of many years, and I think that is so amazing that she's still working in compassion care, even as a retired nurse practitioner. So anyway, thank you, Teresa York, for being such a wonderful, wonderful person, and blessing me with this new hobby that has been life-changing for me. And we're still praying for the family that is grieving a loss of a parent. You know, some people have to grieve the loss of a parent because they leave the earth. Some people grieve the loss of parent or parents because of loss of relationship, or a parent that lives in a different country. You don't get to see them all the time. You know, whether they're in the military or they're a missionary or something. There's that sense of loss that people go through, all different reasons. But loss is loss, grief is grief, and it just, everybody goes through it. But we all go through it, but God does intend us to use the grief and things that we've been through, where God has comforted us through our grief, then to encourage and comfort others who are going through their grief in their particular set of life circumstances. So if you have a chance to walk alongside of or make a quilt to hug a friend that lives long distance while they're grieving and working through some really hard things in life, sew them a pillowcase, sew them a quilt, sew them a mug rug or a hug quilt, or just anything, a scarf, a jacket, a pillow. Make them a special pillow, you know, a bookmark. You can sew bookmarks. But anyway, so we're now at 52 minutes and 50 seconds, and I am done. Have a blessed day.